Okay, so this is Zoom meeting with SirSmokeBeats. I got in touch with him via Instagram, and today we're going to talk about producing and the evolution of producing. He himself is a hip-hop producer who has created some really extraordinary beats, and it's a real pleasure to have him here. So if you just want to introduce yourself, mate.
Well, I'm SirSmoke. I started doing beats some years ago. I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal, and that's pretty much it.
Cool.
I like music after all. I like a lot of genres. Hip-hop, essentially, but also soul music, funk music, and basically it's that.
Perfect. So we're just going to go over a few questions, and then that'll pretty much be it. We're just going to basically gather some data and some evidence into your style of producing, basically. So firstly, I'd just like to ask, who are your influences?
I have a lot of influences, but the main ones are like from the end of the 90s and the start of the early mid-2000s. I can say some names like Kanye West, Just Blaze, J Dilla, Bing, Arsonist from the Hitmakers, Street Runner, Rich Harrison on the R&B area. Sorry?
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I also agree. Kanye West and J Dilla are two very big influences of mine as well, so it's nice to hear.
Pretty much of everybody, I guess. Then I also have like other type of variety of influence, like all the soul, the funk music, disco music, R&B, gospel music from the mid-70s until the late 80s, and also like the Motown, the old Motown, and Stax Records, like producers and arrangers, writers like David Carter, Lemon Desire, Tom Bell, Barry White, Meisel Brothers, Johnny Pate, and pretty much hip-hop culture in general. That's my main influences.
Yeah, for sure.
Lately, I've been listening a lot of Knowledge. I like a lot Knowledge.
Awesome. So when you say Knowledge, do you mean Knowledge reigns supreme, or is Knowledge like KRS-One, or is Knowledge a different producer?
No, Knowledge with a X. Instead of.
I know who you mean. Yeah, for sure.
I think he's pretty fresh and he has substance. And
yeah, I agree.
I like his style a lot.
Cool. So, in terms of the equipment you use, I see you've got quite a few MPC machines by the looks of your Instagram videos, the drum machines. So what hardware have you got, and how does it influence your style of beat making and picking samples and making music?
Well, I'm sample based, so every every beat that I do, I always start with a sample that I find by digging in old records.
Yeah.
Then I just go around, manipulate them, shop them, and try to be creative and to create some other moments in the same track, sampling maybe other track that can fit in terms of the key, for example. But yeah, in terms of the hardware, lately what I use mostly, and I fell in love since I started using it, it's the MPC Live 2. I'm using it since like not even 1 year ago. But I completely fell in love with it, and it's like my last gear that I'm using until now and doing my things. I'm basically a producer of drum machines. Before the MPC Live, I was more a guy of machine, like Native Instruments. I have it here to show.
Of course. So you used to use like Native Instrument hardware, yeah?
I was like a Native Instrument hell, you know. I was like, this is the best thing ever, and I don't want to produce anything else. But then I kind of got tired. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and try other machines. So I bought the MPC, and I noticed some difference on the sonics, on the mixing, on the plugins that it offers. It's very good. It's very good.
Nice. Glad to hear it, man. So where do you see your producing career leading, and how do you aim to get there?
Well, in terms of that, I don't. I confess that I don't overthink too much, you know, about it. More than anything or everything, I would like to have at most the recognition of my influence, my heroes, the people that do the same thing as me and that are on the same lane as me. I don't think firstly of money or fame or whatever material things. I see myself also more like an instrumental producer. I don't think much about doing tracks for this guy or this girl or whatever. I don't have much that aim. When I do a beat, I already feel it a lot, you know, feel it in terms of it's already very busy. People are always telling me, oh, this beat is so busy, so busy, so busy.
Yeah.
I understand that because I don't like that much repetition, you know. For me, it gets boring. That's the way I see myself producing and the way I like it.
Perfect.
Pretty much, it's like that. I would like to be an artist of my own, you know, with my own instrumentals, and that's it. I don't. Of course, I would like to feature some artists, whatever, but it's not like biggest priority.
For sure. Do you rap or sing or anything, or are you solely producing?
No. I only produce. I only do beat making.
Nice, and you do it well. You do it very well.
Thanks.
So, in terms of like education and how you've got to where you are, how did you progress to this point you're at now? Did you read any books? Like you mentioned Jay Dilla, so I assume you might have heard of or even read Jay Dilla Changed My Life or something along those lines.
The last book, I don't know if you're talking about the last book. The last book I still didn't read, but I'm pretty much self-taught, you know. I have a degree in music production, but it's a very small level. It's a very, very small level. When I went to this course, most of the things taught there, I already knew them. It didn't do big thing for me, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of things I learned by my ears, by studying other producers, and a lot of trial and error, you know. And maybe I needed to read even more. I read some books and I will mention them, but maybe I needed to read some more and to see more tutorials also. But for me, it's very fun to figure out things by myself, you know, like when you are alone in the room, like completely focused with your machine and trying. And I like when you figure out things by yourself alone.
Yeah,
it gives a great pleasure also. But it's also, of course, important to see new things, to talk with people that are in superior levels and everything else. It's all part of the process.
For sure, man. No, I definitely agree. Yeah, I'm very similar. I'm very much self-taught, and rather than having some sort of formal education in it, the vast bulk of it has just come from trial and error. Trying to learn from my influences, like you said, like Dilla and Kanye. You know, watching documentaries on like Netflix and YouTube, and you know,
No doubt.
yeah, for sure.
No doubt. About books, I read some formal and informal books. On technical aspects, I read more about the mixing process, not much about production, but more about mixing, which is an area that I think that I like more. So I already read the classics, like the Mixing Engineer's Handbook, The Art of Mixing, and Mixing Secrets from the Small Studio from my senior. And then other books that are more like, they are not so directly related to music, but that can make us, help us be better creative,
Yeah.
Like some books like Ego is the Enemy, The War of Arts, which is pretty known. Then the J. Dilla's Donuts by Jordan Ferguson. It's an old book and very complete about the life and the process of Dilla.
Yeah.
And also other book that I enjoyed a lot and have some insight about production is the Wu-Tang Manual by the RZA. I also have this book in physical form here. This book here is also nice because I'm also a Wu-Tang fan and a RZA fan. RZA was one of the first producers to play with soul and speed up soul.
Yeah.
And he shares some nice insights in this book about production also.
Nice. I haven't read that one actually. I'm gonna have to read that. That was the Wu-Tang Manual by the RZA, yeah?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
you have also other book by him, but it's like a continuation. But I never read the second book.
Okay.
I'm also aiming to read.
Yeah, no, I'll be purchasing that as soon as this meeting's over. I'll get it sent home.
Yeah, for sure.
So, we were talking earlier about how sampling is how you say you begin a beat and you're mainly a sampling producer. I myself am very similar. I'm trained as a drummer, self-taught a bit of guitar, but I feel like as a producer in today's day and age, if you don't know how to play the keys, you're kind of stuck to sampling, because so much of nowadays production is done through MIDI keyboards and assigning certain instruments to them. And if you're someone like me who doesn't really know how to make these like incredible chord progressions or what keys to play to stay in key, that's where it's kind of made me sort of stuck as a producer, and that's why I do so much sampling. And I was wondering what your opinion on it is, because I read a lot everywhere of sampling isn't real music, or sampling isn't this, or you're cheating and blah blah blah. So what's your opinion basically on sampling?
My opinion on sampling, like I said before, I'm sample based. I'm an old school sample based head, so I'm completely pro sampling. If it wasn't for the sampling and the digging and studying and falling in love with the music that we sample, that we shop from the last 60 years, I think that I wouldn't even be a producer, because the sampling is the art form that grabbed my attention. Of course I like instruments and everything else, but it's my art form. It's what I am really interested in. I think it's a matter of taste also, So in terms of being illegal or not, I think we already turned that page. Like, you have a lot of alternatives today to clear a sample, and it's getting pretty banal each time more, because you have like platforms like Tracklink where the samples are already all cleared, or you can approach directly the owners of the masters of the sample and clear it out. So I don't see it as a crime.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And a lot of artists that are getting sampled, they also don't see it as a crime or whatever, because they also earn money with that, you know. For them, it's like good, like you are using my money, so
Yeah.
now I have my lawyer, and let's see about these royalties things and everything. And if they want, you will only receive 10%, and they will receive 90%. So they couldn't care less. But yeah, I think it's an issue from the past.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I'm fully on your wavelength as well. Like for me, like if I couldn't sample, I wouldn't be a producer, or maybe I would, but I'd be 10 years behind in my abilities with everything, because I'd have been trying too hard to focus on playing keys, for instance, than I would have just really honing in musically and learning how to mix and like you said earlier, manipulate different sounds to make them unique and your own.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, but for me the sample thing is like, and what excites me a lot is when you listen to another producer and you hear the way he flips a certain sample, and you just get crazy. You just start thinking like, how did he do that? Like the way he flipped it, and you just that thing just keeps me going and inspires me and makes me continue and to be better.
No, I agree fully. So we've kind of already touched upon this. So I was asking earlier about what equipment you used, and you said the MPC Live. Was it the MPC Live 2? That's your current favorite. So what is it about that really put itself ahead of the rest?
Well, like I said, I like drum machines too much. I'm a drum machine guy. I don't like DAWs,
Yeah.
I like DAWs, but to mix, to master, to edit audio, these type of things. But with the drum machine is, I don't know, I see something magic on it, some romantic idea or whatever you want to call it. But for me, it's like that, and I'm too used to it, because before, when I started maybe like in the 2010 or a bit later than that, and I started on the FL Studio, and I was already on the FL Studio sampling and chopping and doing pretty much what I do now. But I got to a point that I kind of stuck, and then I was like coming and going out of production. And when I got the machine, not the MPC, but the machine that I showed first, I really got into the concept of a drum machine, and things changed for me. I gained a new inspiration, and like I said, I had a time that I was refusing to work with something else than my machine. It was the equipment where I developed more and saw me achieving things and techniques that I was thinking that it will be impossible for me times ago,
For sure.
Very grateful to the drum machines.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. If I had more money, I would buy more, but I just find they're so expensive. That's, as a producer, that's my biggest setback, is my finances. I really want.
I understand.
I really want to keep buying, new plugins, new equipment, but there's only so much money that I have, until the day where I start making some good royalties, eh?
Well, one step at each time, It doesn't need to be when it's supposed to happen. It happens,
Exactly.
Just do yourself. Just do what you have to do now, and when you feel like you need to have a drum machine, you will have it for sure.
For sure, I agree. So, in your eyes, what mistakes have you made with music, with production, and what was it that you learnt from them? Do you find that I have a lecturer called Chimo, for example, and he explains that one of the best ways to progress is to fail, because you learn so much from failure. So
A lot.
in your eyes, is there any sort of pinnacle moments that you can think of that was like, that's a good example of when I tried something, it didn't work out, but I learned from it?
Yeah, a lot of things. I made a lot of mistakes when I started producing, like everyone else, and I think I still do some. Like you're never 100% perfect, So, but technically, I remember like being very frustrated at the start when I started getting familiar with the sampling and shopping thing. I was getting very frustrated with a lot of tracks that I wanted really hard to shop and to manipulate, to sample. But one thing that was always getting me crazy was like fitting the right tempo, like having the sample or the shops on the right tempo, right on the drums, hitting right, and that was very frustrating. But until I understand that part and how to do it well, I was like always thinking like, this is not really for me.
Yeah.
This is too hard, and I will not. And that came with the drum machine. I perfected this, if I can say perfected, this on the drum machine. But because if you think like music before the 90s, that is mostly music that is more sampled by us and other producers.
Yeah.
It's a fucking headache sometimes, because bands and artists of this time, they were almost recording live. There was no quantize, no content, no DAW, no nothing. So to translate this music to nowadays is hard. It's very hard, because the kick, you can stretch the maximum you can or whatever you can, but the kick and the snare, they will be always they will be not perfectly on line with the groove,
Yeah, for sure. No.
So it took me some time to understand that. It took me a really long time to understand it, and I was always frustrated with that. And then, okay, I understood it, and I found technique ways to make it easier and correct. But this was one of the things that really made me. When I unblocked this thing, all the rest turned very easy for me.
Yeah.
Basically.
And so when you say you unblocked this, what was that pivotal moment for you? When did that happen?
Some years ago, I cannot tell you right when, but some years ago, because imagine I did my first beat maybe 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But then I was into other things also, I had school, I had a lot of friends, party, girlfriends, blah, blah, so I was never focusing. Never focusing. And I was always thinking that this is not for me, even though that I could make like 1 or 2 beats per month or wherever. I was always thinking like, this is only like when I don't have nothing to do, or when I'm like curious and I want to experiment.
Yeah.
I will go here to my DAW and I will play a bit. But it changed like when I started taking it seriously, and when this thing happened, for example, when I also learned to do layers, like bass lines, all these things changed. And then I thought maybe like these last 2 years was when I really started taking it seriously,
Yeah.
every day doing a beat or 2 or 3 beats and really focusing, not going out, quitting my job, not going out of home for long periods of time, just producing.
Yeah,
trying to get better.
That's the best way to do it. Yeah, I agree. Like, practice makes perfect. There's a reason why people say it, and it's a good saying. You know, the more you practice, the better you get. And I feel like with producing, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. Yeah, that's
at the start. You need to put as much hours as you can.
Exactly.
And to be wise with these hours, it's not just putting hours, just like doing a beat. It's like you need to understand what are you less better at and improve that areas, you know. Because if you are already good with bass lines, you don't need to be like wasting all your time playing more bass lines and more bass lines and more bass lines. If you're already good at it, like go improve on something else that you are not so good, you know.
Exactly.
And that's how I think. I still do a lot of mistakes, like on the mixing area, for example, mixing process. When I started taking it seriously, like 2 years ago, I had no clue about compression, how to equalize correctly, mono, stereo, phasing. I even know nothing about these things, so it's a long way. It is, and it's a long journey, and you don't need. And what I want to say is, you can't have a big ego because you need to be constantly learning. And if you have a big ego and you think that you know everything, it's okay, you will stuck.
Yeah, I agree for sure. So moving on, how important is collaborating for you?
For me, collaborations, I see it as a way of trading insights, techniques, in order to learn more, and as a gateway to get out of the comfort zone, you know, because you are dealing with other people. And it's also important because you, like I said, you are working with other individuals, and it can turn into a new fusion of sound. For example, you can create something fresh and unpredictable that you was not expecting. So the times I did that, it was always some sort of hit like that. So it's always a positive thing to do, you know.
And so with collaborating, how do you start collaborating with someone? So for example, I made an EP for charity where I used Instagram to basically just find different producers from different countries or different artists, and Instagram was like my method of communication for collaborating.
Yeah.
Like social media has been really good.
The same for me. I have my homie from Spain that it's Freshy Sweet. You probably already saw his name because
for sure
I do a lot of things with him. But our collaborations are kind of different. It's like he doesn't start the drums and I come with the shops or wherever. It's not like that. It's like he do some songs, I do some songs in the same room, and then we mix everything. It's like a split. We do like split.
Yeah.
And,
so you wouldn't say that you're like, so like you were kind of saying, so you don't like make a drum pattern, pass it over to him, he'll like choose a sample, then pass it back.
We also do that sometimes. And I already did that with other people, and it's cool. But I also like to be like in the same room, listening to a bunch of records. Then me and him or other people, if it's more people there in the room, go everybody to his machine, and then come with something and trade insights and try to tell each one what can be better or what can you do more, or just simply go crazy because this guy made a hit. Or it depends, you know.
Yeah, I get you.
particularly with this guy, my guy, Freshy Soy, it's like we have the same taste, we are on the same lane, and we see music the same way. We have much of the same taste, and it's like he do his own songs, I do my own songs, and we are side by side, and then it just comes as a whole, and everything makes sense. That's the magic that when we first did that, we didn't believe, like every song like matches so perfectly.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it, man. I'm glad to hear it. That kind of leads me on to a question. So, for part of this process, for this assignment, what I'm going to be doing is creating a short 5-song EP. This isn't like set in stone as of yet. It might be more, might be less, and the concept might change ever so slightly. But I'm trying to get in touch with different producers who produce in different ways using different machinery, different kit. So, for example, if I were to fly out to Lisbon, to Portugal, would you be willing for me to come for 2-3 days? Obviously, I will find a hotel or something, and we can make beats if you bring your equipment, and I'll bring mine, and we can learn from each other. And
no doubt, no fucking doubt. Cool. I would love that. That's a very great idea.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like that a lot, man.
I would love that. I would love that as well.
Cool.
New experience in trading insights, and that thing that I was saying, staying in the same room, listening some records, trying to gain some inspiration. And
for sure, man.
Getting into work. Yeah, no doubt, bro. No doubt.
Because part of what I would like to do is to find this collection of people, yourself included, who all produce in different ways. Learn from all of you individually and show you what I have to offer as well. And then at the very end, I want to bring everyone together, and we will all collaborate together for something. So people who use straight vinyl sampling, people who use, there's a studio in London where I go to called Metropolis, and they produce for people like Drake and Stormzy and they teach me. So I would like to bring everyone here and fund the travel for everyone, so that we can all at some point come together in one room and show each other how we produce and make something special together, basically.
And that's a pretty epic idea.
I hope so.
Go on. That's very out of the box and very interesting and very...
For sure.
Like you say, it makes us more near, like in terms of the music production community. That's exactly. Very nice. Exactly. If you are willing to do that.
I am, yeah. No, it's because I feel, to me, collaboration is the most important thing for me to learn. I find that it's great when I do things by myself, but also like I'm very stuck with the equipment that I have, like I was saying earlier, like financially. And before someone goes and spends £500 on an SP404, or if they go spend £2,000 on an MPC 2000, you want to see how people do it. You want to learn from them, and you want to show them what you can do and how the two of you can just fuse together. So if I can do that, but with a group of producers, all with different techniques, and we all learn from each other, that's going to be so beneficial to everyone, and I'm hoping that's something I can create for people.
It can be also a very good fusion. Can be something new, like unexpected. That's the thing that's exciting.
Exactly.
Go on.
So, if you could give 3 pieces of advice to a producer in the very beginning stages of their career, say they've just got TrackLib and Splice, and they've got themselves, the Akai Mini Pro, and they've got Logic, what would be your 3 pieces of advice that you would give to them?
Well, in terms of advice, it's like do what you like and what you feel. You need to have passion and not just being in this game for the money or running to every trend that appears. You really need to feel it in first place. Then, I think I already mentioned it, put as much hours as you can. Every day, at least, do a beat. It doesn't need to be a complete beat or a huge hit or a beat with a lot of structure. Just do straight beats. Just go by the flow, doing beats every day. And pretty much like that. Every day do something new, and also plan these hours, plan your journey, invest in what you are less good. If you are not so good with drums, improve on the drums first. If you are not good with the sampling and you want to be a sample-based producer, try to get as much information as possible and practice every day and try to hear other producers, try to figure out how they do it, and so on. And also get out of the comfort zone. And getting out of the comfort zone can be also, like we were talking, through collabing with someone you don't know, with a different sound, that will get you more techniques, more insights.
For sure, man. For sure.
Try new approaches, new styles, try new drums. Like, instead of doing always the same drums, try new drums, try also new sample packs. And sometimes, and this is important, sometimes work with the limitations, because limitations, it will force you to be more creative, But maybe this is not so for beginners, but I figured out that some time ago that limitations can make you be more creative, because you don't get lost on the range of a lot of things. You only have, for example, that 8 seconds or 10 seconds loop and some sample pack and a drum kit, and you need to be creative that way and do something crazy and unique. That's like something that can sparkle a lot of the creativity.
I agree, man. That's great advice. Like, I wish I had heard that when I first started out. That's really good.
But the hours when you're starting, I think more than anything, it's the hours you put.
Yeah,
it's the hours
sure.
And how much you are able to
commit.
To be alone in your room, trying. Yeah,
for sure.
That's it.
And so if you could go back in time, when would you choose to produce? Who with? And why?
Well, like I said, my favorite era is like late 90s and early and mid 2000s. So yeah, it's where my taste lays. So I would choose that eras. I think that music from that eras have something special. Then with who, I have some people I would like, of course, J Dilla, and for the reason of the swing that he has, the way he manipulated samples, his ears, his arrangements, with the synthesizers and the bass lines. The way he did bass lines is just mind-blowing.
No.
Then other guy, Just Blaze, for example, because of his drum programming, the drum fills that he does, the snare rolls, basically the gospel-inspired drums that he plays. I enjoy this type of drums a lot. No, and then also Kanye West from the I also like nowadays Kanye West, but Kanye West from the early 2000s.
I get you for sure.
Because of his approach with the samples and the shopping, the way he did it, the way he flipped it, and how he made it feel so natural and so soulful at the same time, for these reasons, these persons.
Perfect. That's absolutely amazing. So comparing like vinyl sampling and scratching, like 90s MPC, 2000 XL, similar hardware, what do you need to be a successful producer? For example, is it certain gear? Like for you personally, like you feel like the MPC Live 2 is your go-to? Do you think that this should be like the standard for people who really want to get into making music, or do you think like you see nowadays you have like bedroom producers who have Logic, they have an interface, they have a mic, and they have the Akai Pro? I'll show you, like you'll know exactly what I mean when I show you, like they have this.
Yeah.
Like
I also have a MIDI keyboard,
Yeah. Soon. Yeah,
but in terms of your question, of course, people have preference, but there's not a way. It's not the gear that will dictate your way to success, It's not mandatory to have a keyboard. It's not mandatory to have an MPC. I don't think you really need a specific gear for success. What you really need is just like work with what makes you comfortable and what you like. What is really needed are good ears, good taste, to be true to yourself, to your art, and to have your own sonics and your own style. Principally, these last two, it's what I think it will make difference on this road to success.
Yeah.
And will make difference from the rest of your peers and give you success, because you are approaching things in a new way or inside a unique style that is still not explored, and that will grab the attention of the masses, the people that want to listen to new genre and new music. Exactly. Basically, is that. But if you already have your own ID, I think it's already like halfway to success, because people will instantly recognize, like they will hear, oh, okay, I know this is from that guy.
Yeah.
Because you have your own ID.
Yeah, you have your own like trademark. Yeah.
Yeah, and this, okay, it can come with a bit with the hardware you use, but I don't believe that much. I don't believe that much.
Yeah. The gear isn't essential. It's more about how you make the best of what you have. Exactly.
Yeah. Your approach to what you have.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically, is that for me. So, but there's no rules,
Yeah, this is true. So, is there anything else? I have no more real questions other than, is there anything you would like to add, or is there anything you would like to ask myself? Is there anything at all you would wish to sort of converse in?
Man, no, I just want to thank you. Great conversation. Thanks, great bro. Insights. I will listen more about you. I'm sincere, I didn't listen much of your music, but I will check it out more.
Thanks, man. I tend to do a big range at the moment. I'm trying.
And we will be in contact for sure.
For sure,
I like to talk with you. That's it. We are here.
Yeah.
And just want to say tomorrow drops my beat tape. If you want to listen,
of course.
Whatever.
Yeah, man.
It's like that, we never stop.
I agree, and I'll definitely send me a link and I'll listen for sure.
Of course.
And
we will be in touch.
And we'll figure out a day, maybe this summer or something when we're both free. I'll come fly out to Lisbon and get a hotel, and we can meet up and make some beats and do some sampling, and yeah.
Yeah, bro, we can go to some vinyl stores, then do some sampling anytime. Just tell me with some time, and we organize that.
For sure, bro.
I also have a collection of vinyl here in my home, so
nice.
Yeah,
we'll be on it.
You are always welcome to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Well, listen,
Appreciate you too.
I'll let you get on with the rest of your evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this. And obviously, this is just the start of something great.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. It's me that appreciates.
Cheers.
Have a blessed evening, bro.
And see you. I'll see you soon.
Keep in touch.
Will do.
See you, bro.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.